Okay, so get this, right? Like, we're going deep today, deep into this theory that aliens, like actual aliens, kickstarted human civilization.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, wild, right? But hear me out, because we're going to be exploring the work of this guy, Zecharia Sitchin.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
He was like a scholar and all that, claimed he found evidence for this hidden history. But get this, it's in ancient Sumerian texts.
Sumerian text, so we're talking way, way back.
Exactly, like before the pyramids, way back. And the thing is, Sitchin, he looked at these ancient myths, right? The kind we just blow off as like just stories. Yeah.
I totally.
But he saw something else, like a blueprint maybe, for like where we come from, our origins.
Interesting. So he's saying what these myths are more than just stories.
Right. Like, think about it. Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden, Noah's Ark, the flood, all that. Like, what if it's not just like metaphors and stuff?
You're saying he thought it was like a record of what really happened.
Bingo. He's saying the Sumerians weren't messing around. Those texts, it's like a coded history of alien intervention.
Okay, but before we go full alien, right, like back up.
Yeah.
What about like, the basics? Like where do we come from? Evolution, creationism, all that.
Exactly. So we've got the usual suspects, but then Sitchin's like, hold my beer, and he throws aliens into the mix. Alien creationism.
There's a real wrench in things.
For sure. But, okay, to get this, we got to start with the Sumerians,
yes.
right?
Oh, geez.
Right. They just pop up in Mesopotamia thousands of years ago with like this crazy advanced civilization.
They were writing, doing math, knew all this astronomy stuff.
Like way ahead of the curve.
Exactly. They were light years ahead of everyone else at the time.
It's almost like someone or something gave them a head start.
And that's what Sitchin thought, right? He's saying the Sumerians got their intel from, you guessed it, aliens.
And not just any aliens. These are the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki. Now we're talking.
So who are these guys? And how do they fit into this whole, like, creation story?
So according to Sitchin, they come from a planet called Nibiru.
Nibiru, okay.
Yeah.
Another planet.
Not just any planet. This one, it's like a rogue planet. It swings through our solar system every, get this, 3,600 years.
Hold up. A planet just cruising through every few thousand years? That's nuts.
Yeah, and Sitchin figured on one of these swings, these Anunnaki, they landed on Earth.
Okay, so they're here. But why? Like, what's the deal?
They were on a mission for gold.
Gold. Really? Like, bling, bling, gold.
You got it. Sitchin figured they needed it to fix their planet's atmosphere. It was, like, in trouble.
So Earth was their, like, cosmic gold mine.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. They didn't want to do the digging themselves.
Of course not. They're aliens.
Advanced aliens. They needed workers.
Makes sense. But something tells me it wasn't that simple.
You got it. See, their first try at making workers, it was, well, pretty out there.
Let me guess. They went full Frankenstein, like mix some DNA.
You're close. They tried mixing their DNA with dinosaurs.
Whoa, 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 hold up. Dinosaur DNA. You're telling me they had dinosaur hybrids running around?
That's what Sitchin's saying. It's all in those Sumerian texts, these early experiments they made, like reptilian humanoids. Super strong, but they couldn't have kids.
Okay, so we're talking like lizard people. Like straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It sounds wild, but hey, we're talking ancient myths here. They're full of weird creatures. Sitchin thought maybe it wasn't all made up,
Like maybe those myths are based on like real experiments.
Exactly.
Okay, so dinosaur DNA, not the best plan. What did they try next?
Well, they needed a new strategy, right? And that's where things get ethically tricky.
Okay, now I'm really interested.
So they needed a workforce, and Sitchin says they ended up using, get this, their own eggs and wombs.
Wait, really?
Yep, to clone those reptilian workers, but this caused some, let's say, drama.
Drama with the Anunnaki.
No.
I'm all ears.
Imagine, like, family drama, but on a galactic scale. You've got Enki, this brilliant scientist, right? But he was all about results, even if it meant, bending the rules.
So Enki's like the ambitious one.
Totally. But then there's his brother, Enlil. He was more like the moral compass, worried about what all this meant, using these creatures as workers.
So one's all about progress and the other is all about ethics.
Classic conflict, right? Even for aliens. And this plays out, like, throughout Sitchin's whole theory. But the reptilians, they weren't the only thing they made.
Oh, there's more. What else did they cook up in their, like, alien lab?
Well, think about all those crazy creatures and myths. Sphinxes, dog-headed gods, bird-headed gods.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Sitchin's saying these weren't just made up. He thought it was the Anunnaki still tinkering with genes.
Wait, so like the Sphinx in Egypt, you're saying that was an Anunnaki creation?
That's what he thought. He saw all these mythical creatures as like proof of their experiment.
Like they were trying to find the perfect worker, trying all these different combos.
Exactly. But there's this theme, right? All these weird creatures, the sphinxes, the dog-headed guys, even mermaids.
Hold on, mermaids too. Are we talking like the Little Mermaid?
Well, Sitchin thought so, but the point is none of these weird creatures could have kids. They were all sterile.
That makes sense, I guess. Like, why don't we see any sphinxes walking around today?
Exactly. So the Anunnaki, they're having a tough time, right? They can't find the right workers. So how do humans like us finally show up?
That's the big question.
Well, after all those flops, Enki and Enlil and Ninhursag, Enki's sister and wife, who was this amazing healer, they teamed up.
Okay, here we go.
And they made the first humans, Adam and Lilith.
Adam and Lilith. I thought it was Adam and Eve.
That's what we usually hear. But Sitchin, he read those Sumerian texts differently. He said Adam and Lilith were the first, and they were part of this whole race called the Lemurians.
Lemurians. Isn't that like a lost continent?
Yep. Like Atlantis, right. It's this mythical place, always connected to, like, advanced civilizations.
Right.
So Sitchin figured the Lemurians were the Anunnaki's, like, masterpiece. They could reproduce, but they weren't self-aware.
So, like, humans, but not quite there yet.
Exactly. Like prototypes, I guess.
And you know, it's interesting. Like, even today, we know babies aren't born self-aware. It develops over time.
That's true. It's like the Anunnakis were way ahead of the game.
So they created, like, humans 2.0.
You could say that, but that's just the start. From there, it's like a whole cosmic drama unfolds. Forbidden knowledge, rebellion, a massive flood.
Okay, now I'm hooked. But before we jump into that, tell me more about this Adam and Lilith situation. And what about this Garden of Eden thing?
Okay, so picture this, right? You've got Adam, the first human, hanging out in this awesome paradise. It's the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, sounds pretty sweet. No work, no stress, just chilling in paradise.
Exactly. But, and there's always a but, Enlil, the Anunnaki brother, who is all about doing the right thing, well, he gets super attached to Adam.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah, he wants to keep Adam safe, protected, in the garden.
So Enlil's like a cosmic dad, huh?
Yeah.
All protective?
Totally. But his brother Enki, remember him? Mr. Efficiency.
Oh, yeah, the one who's all about getting things done.
Right. He's not so happy about this whole Garden of Eden thing. He needs workers, remember? And Adam's not exactly being productive, just chilling in paradise.
It's classic sibling rivalry, right? But with, like, the fate of humanity at stake.
No kidding. So they got to figure this out. And what they come up with is, well, Lilith.
Lilith. Okay, back up a sec. She was, like, the first Eve, right?
Right, but remember, Sitchin said she was androgynous.
Androgynous, so, like, both male and female.
Exactly. She could, reproduce with anyone. So the Anunnaki decide, Lilith, she's going to Enki to help make more workers. Sitchin thought that's why, we're all supposed to be descendants of Lilith. It all ties back to that serpent imagery, with Enki and Ninhursag.
Whoa. So we're all connected to Lilith. That's wild.
It is. But so Lilith's out there working, and Adam, he's still in Eden, all alone.
Poor Adam. That's got to be lonely.
Well, in Lil, he's bummed about losing Lilith, right? And he wants Adam to have a companion. So he makes Eve from Adam's rib.
Oh, right. So that's where that whole Adam and Eve story comes from.
That's what Sitchin thought. But remember Enki, the knowledge guy.
Yeah, the one always pushing the boundaries.
Right. He gives Lilith the fruit from the tree of knowledge.
Wait, seriously? But wasn't that supposed to be, like, a punishment?
Well, that's the usual story. But Sitchin said Enki, he wasn't trying to punish her. He wanted to make her smarter.
Like, give her a brain boost.
Exactly. He figured a smarter Lilith would be a better worker. But, messing with knowledge, it always comes with a price.
I have a feeling this is where things get interesting.
You got it. So Lilith, she's got all this knowledge now, right? And she starts to see how unfair things are. She's out there working, and Adam's just chilling in Eden.
Yeah, I'd be kind of pissed, too.
Right. She's like working a dead-end job, and she sees this other life, this paradise. So according to Sitchin, she rebels. She says, screw this. And in Lil, he gets mad and punishes her. He makes her more, serpent-like.
So that's where the whole snake in the garden thing comes from.
Exactly. And Lilith, she wants revenge, so she tempts Eve with the fruit. And, well, you know the rest. Adam and Eve, they get kicked out of Eden.
Wow, it's like the classic story, but with this whole Anunnaki twist.
It is. But it doesn't end there. Sitchin, he connected this to the Great Flood, too. Remember that?
Yeah, Noah's Ark, all that.
Right. Sitchin thought the flood was Enlil's way of trying to, like, wipe out humanity, or at least the messed up version that Enki had created.
Wait, Enlil, Mr. Nice Guy, he wanted to, like, hit the reset button on humanity.
It's weird, right? But maybe he saw how things were going. Humans rebelling, making a mess. Maybe he thought it was time to start over.
I guess that kind of makes sense. It's like that struggle between, like, letting things be and trying to control everything.
Totally. It's a classic dilemma, even for, alien overlords. But, okay, so far it's all very Mesopotamian, right? But you mentioned there's a Japanese connection, too. How does that fit in?
Yeah, I'm curious about that. What's the Japan angle?
Well, this is where it gets really cool. Sitchin noticed this connection between the Anunnaki story and this Japanese myth about Susanoo.
Susanoo, that name rings a bell. Remind me who that is.
He's like a storm god in Japanese mythology. And get this, he's also connected to the sea and serpents.
Serpents again. That can't be a coincidence.
Exactly. Sitchin thought these similarities, they were way too specific to be just random.
So he's saying these two cultures, totally different places and times, they both had this, like, shared memory of the Anunnaki.
That's what he thought. Like, they were both trying to, preserve this knowledge in their own way.
It's mind-blowing, right? Like, what if these stories we've always heard, what if they're actually telling us about, like, real events?
That's what makes Sitchin's work so fascinating. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about, like history and myths and even, our place in the universe.
Like, maybe we shouldn't just dismiss those old stories so quickly.
Exactly. But of course, we got to be careful, too.
Right. Not everything Sitchin said is, like, set in stone.
Totally. It's important to think critically, Look at the evidence and decide for yourself.
But even if we don't believe everything, it's still fun to think about, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it gives us a whole new way of looking at those ancient myths.
So for our listeners who are, like, totally into this now, what's next? Where do we go from here? Man, we've been through a lot, huh? Like Anunnaki, aliens, gold mines, floods. It's wild.
It really makes you think, Like,
Yes.
what if all this stuff, what if it's not just like fairy tales? What if it's true?
Yeah, it kind of messes with your head a bit, doesn't it? Like, maybe those ancient myths, maybe they're trying to tell us something.
That's the whole point, isn't it? Sitchin's saying these stories aren't just made up. They're like echoes of real events.
But, like, whispered down through, like, thousands of years.
Right. So much can get lost or changed along the way. It's like trying to solve a giant puzzle with like half the pieces missing.
But that's kind of cool, though, right? Trying to figure it all out.
Oh, totally. It's like a giant cosmic mystery, and that's what makes it so exciting.
So where do we go from here? Like, are we supposed to just believe everything Sitchin says?
Well, not necessarily. It's important to, like, think for yourself. Don't just take someone's word for it.
Yeah, do your own research and all that?
Exactly. There are lots of other scholars out there who have different ideas about, ancient texts and all that. It's good to, like, hear different perspectives.
So basically, we got to be critical thinkers.
Exactly. But even if we don't agree with Sitchin on everything, his ideas are still, like, really valuable.
Yeah, he gives us a whole new way of looking at things.
Totally. He makes you question assumptions, makes you wonder, what if there's more to the story than we think?
So what's the big takeaway? Like, for our listeners, what should they be thinking about after this deep dive?
Stay curious, I guess. Don't be afraid to, ask questions, explore, dig into the stuff that's, like, kind of out there.
Yeah, the search for, like, where we come from, it's a journey. There's always more to discover.
Exactly. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll find that, like, missing piece of the puzzle, the one that tells us the real story.
And maybe it's hiding in plain sight,
Yeah.
like in an old myth or
The
something.
universe is full of mysteries, that's for sure. And that's what makes it so awesome. So yeah, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep an open mind. You never know what you might find.
Well said. And that's our deep dive into the world of Zecharia Sitchin and the Anunnaki. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you next time. And until then, keep searching for those cosmic truths, wherever they may lead you.